Hello again, everybody. This is John and Glenn from Best Price Nutrition. Today, we're going to cover the new fat burners from Gaspari Nutrition. We got them here recently. We've had a lot of questions about them. Really haven't had quite a chance to get a lot of feedback. Maybe a little bit on the Spirodex. Haven't really heard much. But what we're going to do is try and cover the ingredients to the best we can for you guys. Kind of let you know what you can stack them with. Kicking it off right away, we're going to look here at the Spirodex. Right on the bottle. Right away, the bottle actually looks a little bit different for Gaspari. It's almost kind of more of a pharmaceutical type look,
yeah.
And it's 425 milligrams. It's a once per day dose. Some of the ingredients here, Glenn, you want to cover them? I know you did some looking on them.
Going over, the first ingredient is oxytropis falcate. Can't find too much about this, but what I did find is that it's supposed to mimic neurotransmitters in the body that indicate that you're full and happy. So that's the part of this that'll curb your appetite, and it does have that effect, because I actually have taken some samples of this. It does have that effect of curbing the appetite. You're not hungry, you're not thinking about eating, so that particular part of it's very good.
We're seeing more of that with fat burners now too, where it seems that the whole feeling happy tends to, and I do think it's effective, because if you feel good, you're going to tend to eat better and be able to stay more on track. So I think that's a pretty good move by the industry as a whole to try and go that route.
A lot of times when you're dieting and you're exercising a lot, your serotonin levels are going to be down. You're going to be tired. You're not going to feel the best because you're not eating all that food. So that's what's good about adding something in here to make you feel good, to make you happy, because then you're going to want to work out. Then that dieting portion's not going to be so hard. So that's a good thing also.
Okay. Well, next ingredient?
Next one is, they call it Camellia sinensis, or sinensis. It's just green tea. It's another word for green tea. And then there's hordenine, and the next one is geranium. Geranium is also known as 1,3-dimethylamylamine. It is a mild stimulant. Very hot on the market right now. You see a lot of fat burners, a lot of pre-workout products with that inside of it. You'll get more of a mental boost, energy boost from it. I know I'll take this at like 7 in the morning, and from 7 to 10 I'm going pretty good, which is nice.
That was in the old Ergo Farm product, right?
Yeah.
They were the first ones, I think, to use it.
Came out from AMP. Yeah, Patrick Arnold's product, AMP, back in the day. Very good ingredient. Great feedback on it. It is something, though, that if you are a drug-tested athlete in college or professional sports, it is illegal. So that particular ingredient, so might want to stay away from this one then. The next ingredient is guarana, which is just another source of caffeine. And then there's caffeine inside of it. So basically, to cover all of this, it's a fat burner, a stimulant-based fat burner that has some mood-enhancing, mood-elevating properties to it. Like I said, I myself have tried it. I take 1 capsule in the morning, and generally they recommend just 1 capsule per day. You can also take 2. I've taken 2. You get a really good mental rush, really focused, which is nice. So this is something that you want to take before you go to work. In the morning, you'll get that big boost of energy, mentally focused. Or you could also save it, as long as it's not too late in the day, because there are stimulants inside here for your workout, pre-workout. Give you a good mental boost, because a lot of these ingredients are inside of pre-workout supplements.
Do you take 2 at a time, or just one in the morning, one in the early afternoon?
I would definitely start out with 1 capsule to assess your tolerance, see how you feel. And then after that, I would say, if you feel like you're doing all right, do 1 and 1. So 1 in the morning, let's say 1 4 to 6 hours later. Or you can take both in the morning, 2 in the morning at once. And then after that, being as this is a 60-tablet supply, you really don't want to take any more than 2 per day. That's what's recommended. Let the bottle last its full month. If you really want that big rush energy, go ahead and take 2 at a time. Otherwise, I would separate it, 1 in the morning and 1 4 to 6 hours later.
And another trick to help make these last longer sometimes, you can get away with not taking it maybe on the weekend, or non-workout days, maybe skipping it and using another source of caffeine so you don't get the withdrawal headaches. Maybe that day you have some tea or something like that. You still get some fat burning effects, but also that'll help maybe with your adrenal glands to help stop with some down regulation so you don't build up a tolerance too quickly. How would you compare this to Oxy Elite Pro? Because that seems to be the most fat burner out there in terms of just not necessarily the ingredients, one by one, but in terms of the effect and how you feel. Because I know that one kicks really hard.
Oxy Elite Pro is much stronger in my eyes. It's got a very, very large kick, very good kick. It kicks hard. This one does not. This one isn't so much of a jittery type energy or like high caffeine. It really, honestly, it's in the brain. It feels like you get this mental rush. You're very focused, which is very nice for me. You got to come in, you got to get a lot of work done, and that's what's nice. So it's less of a stimulant based. It's not going to give you the jitters. You're not going to want to get up and run around and things like that. But it's more of a mental rush.
So Gaspari was basically going after more of the mood enhancing effect
Exactly.
than the stimulant effect with that one.
Exactly.
Now that brings us to the next one they just came out with, which is Phenorex. If you look on here, it says it's an intense thermogenic bioamine. It's 335 milligrams. Looks like that's per capsule. What about the ingredients with this one?
And some of the ingredients in here are also inside the Phenorex, but let's start with the first one. It's just Carnitine L Tartrate. Essentially, it's just L-carnitine, but it's a form that absorbs more rapidly, absorbs better than just straight L-carnitine. Now, carnitine's been used for years. It basically is used to transport fat into the mitochondria to be burned off as fuel, or to be burned off as energy. That's an ingredient that's been around for a long time.
I've seen studies with carnitine too, and time again, it does have that effect, but they've never been able to prove that it actually reduces body fat levels. And personally, for me, when I look at the cost of carnitine and then that lack of empirical evidence that it actually does reduce body fat, I do see that there are some positive effects of carnitine, but neither of which would be to reduce body fat levels, which ultimately would be why you'd be taking a fat burner.
Exactly. The appealing thing with what I've read in terms of this particular source or kind of L-carnitine is that there's actually studies to show in humans that it does help with enhancing recovery after a workout. So that is nice. I mean, if you're not getting, because this is only 335 milligrams per capsule, a lot of studies using carnitine are using 1 to 3 grams. It's 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams. So it's not a high dosage, but if it's enough in there to possibly help recover from a workout, then that's a good part, a good effect.
Yeah, and to be fair too, as far as the only ones who puts carnitine in there, I mean, a lot of companies do. And maybe that's what they're intending to do. I don't know that
there's just not enough room in this capsule to put 1 to 3 grams.
Sure.
So that's another thing.
Well, let's cover the other ingredients. I do see a couple very interesting ones here.
Oxytropis falcate again was also in the Spirodex. Again, it's in here because it mimics neurotransmitters that make you feel full and feel happy. So that again is another mood enhancing quality of it, but also it's an appetite suppression, which is very good. I haven't had a chance to try this, but if it's got a similar effect in the Spirodex, it should essentially curb the appetite. You're not going to think about eating. You're not going to be hungry. So that's a good part of it also. Next is just caffeine. So it is a stimulant based, so it's going to give you a little bit of boost. And then there's also synephrine inside of it. A lot of people know synephrine as sort of ephedrine's cousin. It basically increases the metabolic rate, and it's supposed to do that without increasing blood pressure, which is nice, because a lot of times when people take stimulants, Yohimbe and things like that, it can increase the blood pressure, and that's a negative side effect. You don't really want that. So that's the appeal of the synephrine. Next one you'll see is called Paulinia cupana, which is just guarana. Again, it's similar to caffeine or a source of caffeine. And then the last is 2 ingredients that you've probably seen in some other products. It's the 3,5 and 3,3 thyroid hormones, or they call it diodothyronine. Essentially, these 2 work by increasing the thyroid hormone in the body. And when you do that, it raises your metabolism and increases the uncoupling proteins in the body. And it also just increases your production capability of ATP in your mitochondria. So it's boosting energy output.
Were those ingredients in the mitotropin? Because I heard you mention
they were.
coupling.
I'm not exactly sure if both of them were the 3,3 and 3,5, but I know at least one of them were in the mitotropin. They're also in another an alternate product from iForce Nutrition called TT33. So yes, these ingredients have been in other products, and the feedback generally is very good.
Now, the uncoupling effect, what I understand, is where it basically tricks your body into going into the Krebs cycle when it otherwise would not be, which means your body's using up ATP at rest. So it wouldn't be necessarily the best things for performance enhancement, but that can be quite effective for fat burning, because if you're using up ATP, more of it at rest than you otherwise would, your body then has to replace it, which essentially means you're just going to increase your metabolism, so you're going to burn more calories. And when we say metabolism, it's a term that's thrown around a lot. All that metabolism really is in terms of fat burning is just it's the net total of sum total of chemical reactions in the body. The more chemical reactions in the body, the higher your metabolism per se. If you're running a lot, obviously there's more chemical reactions going around, which means your body needs more calories to replace what you're using, or to help those processes.
And the best example I could use for the uncoupling effect is imagine you're putting gas into your car and there's a hole in your gas tank. So you're putting the gas in, and the gas is just leaking out, but you continue to put gas in. So think of your body pulling in body fat to convert into ATP as your energy, and that energy just continually being released as heat. And it's a continual process, so you don't have to be working out, you don't have to be dieting per se, but while you're at rest, you'll be burning extra calories because, like I said, it's just going to continue to flow out of the cell as heat. Now this, it will have a warming effect because you're going to be releasing that ATP as heat. So you could get warm, you know, and you could sweat a little bit. So for people who, you know, may have a problem with that or it's kind of uncomfortable for them, just understand that that can happen with this.
Now these two you would not stack together. So one or the other, you know, and as I mentioned, the performance enhancing effect, I'd probably go with Spirodex if you're, you know, if you're going to compete in some kind of an event that requires you to be, you know, at your athletic peak. You know, if it's a bodybuilding show, it's not going to matter as much because the fat burning effect, you know, from uncoupling is very good. But if you're going to be running a race or lifting weights or something like that where you're trying to compete of some sort, you definitely would want to stay away from the uncoupling effect.
Exactly.
So yeah, you can't stack them. Does one kick harder than the other?
You know, I haven't had a chance to try this one, but I would imagine that of the two, probably this would kick more because this has that thyroid hormone effect inside of it. You know, you should get a slight boost of energy in this, but this one I would say probably kicks a little harder. Definitely in the mood department. Because this one it does have those uncoupling.
Well, most of the energy boosters in here, I think, are probably to offset any lethargy that may have been caused from the uncoupling effects.
There are some B vitamins added to it to sort of negate those effects.
Which, again, can be a very effective fat burner. So we don't want to sound like it's bad when we talk about performance enhancement, but very good in terms of fat burning. Well, I mean, that covers these two. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please go ahead and post them, and we'll be sure to answer them promptly. Thank you.
Thank you.